Now, what is nada? To look at or to understand nada, we first have to again know spanda. The spanda is a subtle or pervasive heave of the consciousness, and this emission of energy is in a vibrational form, and this vibration of the flow of spanda is called nada. It is not different from spanda. Now this nada or vibration has several levels. Each level of vibration corresponding to a specific level of existence in the consciousness. One can experience nada through the medium of sound. And then this sound aspect of nada is called shabda. And when one relates to nada as sound or shabda, then nada itself will be related to as speech, which is termed as vak. So just remember that these are different words which at many times are used interchangeably. So nada, shabda, vak all just represent spanda and its vibration. Now let's look at the para shabda or the para vak. In a cosmological outlook of the ancients, they termed that the para vak is that vibration of the knowledge factor of consciousness, the chit shakti or the jnana shakti, where the universe to be manifested is completely held in a knowledge form within consciousness, in a totally undifferentiated form as non-different from it. So this is like an artist who has a total knowledge of what he or she is going to express as a poem or as a drawing on the canvas, but completely in his or her consciousness is withheld. And vibration of that knowledge within consciousness in this cosmological scale, that is called parashabda or paravak. Then, as the knowledge of this manifestation starts to manifest out, it occurs through the next two stages, which are called pashyanti and madhyama. So pashyanti, and we will look at it a bit later. Now to finish the cycle, finally the full-fledged manifestation of the ordinary material world which you and me see and connect to, this is the world of names and forms. Here the vibration is called vaikari. So pashyanti level is just next to the para level, and at pashyanti level the sound and the object of manifestation is still the same, like the sameness of the essential components of ice and water. Whereas in madhyama level onwards, ideas and views of objects start to occur, which is different from the vibrational sound of the object itself. And at Vaikari level, the word for the object is totally based on the conventional language, and it doesn't correspond to the vibratory aspect of the object. So just remember, you should always keep in mind the earlier principles. That though we say that the transcendental consciousness evolves or concentrates its karma or desire to manifest. It concentrates that into a point, or which is called bindu, and then from which you learn that everything releases out. This whole that intention and knowledge and everything releases out with the tremendous energy of spanda as nada and kala. So while we say that the manifestations emit out, know that in this philosophy, the entire manifestation, even in our, even which is existing in our concrete material world, in this Vaikari level, it is seen as never really departed from the Shiva consciousness. Everything is a play of spanda, where the multiverses are just bringing out, but still everything is totally ensconced in the cocoon of the universal consciousness. Everything has thoughts and ideas within one infinite consciousness. Now, letting aside the views of the tantrics about the world at large and looking at it more individualistically, if we look at what is the sound which we hear, we can just say that we hear speech, just like how you're hearing my words. That is speech. Spoken word can be heard. And also I can hear my own words. My speech I can hear. This sound which we are hearing is called Vaikari. Here it's all about sound waves, movement of air molecules, then eardrum vibrations, and nerve signals, and then what we know as sound. Now when you look at this a bit more, where does this speech come out from? So if you look at my speech, where does this come out from? So before the speech escapes my mouth as a vocal cord articulated formation, it has to first form in my mind as a thought. The knowledge has to structure itself in a particular way before it can come out of the mouth. And as it forms itself in a thought form, in a knowledge form within the mind, this is also a vibrational pattern. It's energy. And it is in the realm of mind. Now, this is felt as we can hear it as an inner sound, as an inner talk, and sound perceived as a narrative of the mind within. Before its external manifestation, it is called Madhyama. Now if I look deeper, where does these thoughts, this knowledge issue out from? So if I look, I know these thoughts, this knowledge is issuing out of the knowledge which has been passed down the ages by rishis or sages, who had this insightful view, insightful wisdom of the way things are, in their very refined, subtle, pure intellect, where what sound and the object itself are not really different. The sound is vibration, and vibration is the object. So it's not a conventional language, it's just pure wisdom which unraveled in their intellects. So I can say that what I am saying is issuing out of the Pashyanti level of consciousness. In Pashyanti level, they could connect to the subtler aspects of vibration. And where does this Pashyanti level issue out from? And this Pashyanti level is coming out of the pure transcendental consciousness, that flow or collective vibration called Nad Brahman. So, when we talk about Pashyanti, you should know that teachers who are highly evolved, when they teach from the Pashyanti level, know that their speech and their experience are not really separate. So when they teach something, it is not like they are verbally passing on some language-dependent teaching. It is almost like the teaching itself is speaking. And when teachings come from that Pashyanti level, it has the potency to penetrate even very dull minds and affect an understanding in the student. It is this understanding of the continuum of the gross speech with the supreme vibration of energy that led the ancient yogis to evolve the practice of mantras. So mantras are sounds, are energy in a vibrational form which they perceived when they were in the Pashyanti level of consciousness. Now leaving aside the Pashyanti or the subtle sounds, even in our Vaikari spoken language level, we know the power of words, the power hidden in the words or language, which we connect through Vaikari spoken or in our thoughts, Madhyama. And it is this power which sometimes gives us so much joy through language, through words, through speech, and which also can cause us so much suffering. And normally the words and knowledge coming through Vaikari or Madhyama tends to bind us to limitations or even arrogance. Vaikari dependent knowledge of even the universe leads the people who understand things purely in this sound Vaikari level. They become very arrogant that they know. Only if they practice and connect to the subtler levels of consciousness, then they can experience what the tantrics were speaking about. But they never try, because the Vaikari level, they give some names to these energies, and then they think that is it. Now, luckily, the ancients gave us a practice by which we can use the same sound energy to free us from entanglements and bondage. And this practice is called mantra practice. So while Vaikari or normal speech tends to take our awareness outward, the Pashyanti received mantras direct our awareness inward. Received in the pure Pashyanti consciousness of rishis, the mantras are tools which involute one's mind towards the subtler levels of consciousness. The various mantras, when recited along with the contemplation of, like in this talk's context, in contemplation of the Srichakra, enables the awareness of the aspirant to understand, experientially understand the significance of the formula he is repeating, significance of this geometrical pattern. Everything starts to make itself clear as the student's awareness lifts from the Vaikari and Madhyama levels of mind towards the subtler realms of buddhi or intellect, towards the Pashyanti level, which ultimately leads the student to experience that universal pulsing power of consciousness, that within, deep within their own awareness. They find their all that we are talking about. They experience the Srichakra as themselves.